Hi, I'm Toni Black, and welcome to the Living Out Loud series. In this video series, we're talking about ways to unshackle your potential, unleash your passion, and become your own hero. Wellness, mental clarity, love, family, home, relationships, career, personal growth, spirituality, fun, financial wealth, and authenticity are all elements of living a passion-filled, divine life that is filled with love and joy. It is true that you can have it all. It is a matter of stepping into your feminine power in each of these key areas. Today's guest is a master of empowerment for those who are constantly giving. She has taught me that without being available to receive love and the gifts that we are all worthy of, there's nothing that you will be able to give. Nothing that you won't be able to give. Please welcome the business mentor and lifestyle expert, Lisa Marie Rosati. She created the Goddess Lifestyle Plan and Sugar-Free Goddess. She's also an expert columnist for Aspire magazine. She is an international best-selling author and high priestess of the Goddess Lifestyle Sisterhood and School of Magical Living. Welcome, Lisa Marie.
Thank you, Toni. It's such an honor to be here again, right? This is round 2 for us.
Round 2. This is going to be very, very excited. I love talking to you. So I love that your passion is to teach ambitious, soulful women how to create abundant, purpose-filled, vibrant, healthy lives and businesses. And I know that we just talked about something that a lot of women that are watching this, and a lot of men too, that are watching this have experienced a catalytic event in their life, and they might be facing some really funky dark spots right now. And so I'd like to talk to you about, what has been your experience around this?
Well, I mean, the major life, the complete earth-shattering event for my life, there was lots of small ones, and I believe very much that the universe, kind of gives you little whacks here and there to awaken you, and when you don't, you get hit with something I call a cosmic 2x4, right? So my cosmic 2x4 was my last baby being born with a physical birth defect. I had everything that most people would think is everything. I had a beautiful family. I had, financial security. I had the best care. I was married to a physician. I was married to a prominent physician on Long Island. I had great friends. I had a great life. And I had a child that was born with a physical birth defect. It was very unexpected. He was born with a right leg anomaly and a deformed right foot. So it was something that, because when babies are sonoed and stuff, their feet and hands are moving, they don't really see. And he was born with this 3-toed foot that was much, much smaller than his left foot. And of course, with a much smaller and shorter leg. And it was devastating. It was just devastating on a million different levels for me, because I was very sick during pregnancy. It was my third and last pregnancy, this baby. I mean, I was very sick all the time. I gave a lot of myself to have my babies. Some women soar through pregnancy. Me, I'm literally the antithesis of that. If it was like, if there was ever a thing I should never do, it should be pregnant and give birth. That's just not something I'm good at. I feel sick from the moment of conception to the moment the baby comes out. So I can only speak for my own situation. I'm 5 foot tall on a good day. So I become this rotund, I can't move, and it's just a miserable situation for me. So on top of all that misery and trying to do the right thing, I kind of get dealt this incredibly sad and shocking things. And I'm just going to put on my glasses because I can't see you. I want to see you without them. I just can't get away. I'm of that age, so I need my glasses. I got told while my legs were in stirrups, literally. Wow. It was horrible. It was shocking. My legs were still up in stirrups. I had no idea this was going to happen. I was shocked. There's probably was some traumatic, post-traumatic afterwards. It was just a mess. It was a mess. And of course, this was the hardest thing I've ever gone through in my life. All at once.
I can totally relate. I know my daughter was born with a birth defect as well. She was born with 8 feet of intestines outside her body. And I remember the day they told me I was going to ride my bike. I did not want to drive a car. I was 19 when I had her, so I was really young. But I never wanted to drive a car, and I got on a bike, and I was like, I'm just gonna ride myself home after hearing this news,
Yeah.
And I fell off my bike. It was just like a mess, and my driver's license.
A mess.
Face
You're processing, you have hormones raging.
Yes.
There's worry. What does this mean for my child for the rest of the life? There's there's a million thoughts. Probably even like, what are people going to think? Like, I did drugs while I was pregnant. I mean, who knows what goes through the mind, right?
Yes.
All this reality comes crashing down on you on top of the like, what the fuck? I'm sorry. It's just like, what? And my legs were up in stirrups, just like, pushing for hours, just got this baby out, and, masks are on, and they're saying, I'm so sorry, but your baby was born with a birth defect. I was so delirious because I have very long labors. I laughed in the doctor's face. I said, oh, stop it. Because I'd been out to dinner with him. I knew him. And I was just like, what? This was not at all on my radar. Mm-hmm. Completely shattered my life. And, I don't react immediately. That's my, the way that I'm made up, I guess, is in the moment. I don't react. I'm very calm. Mm. And then after I know everything's okay, I break down. That's just the way it is. In an emergency, I'm the calm. And you want me around in an emergency. I'm like, we got to do that. We got to do that. Afterwards, I just fall to a bowl of crap on the floor. But in the moment, I'm really in my head, in my body. And my son's father fell apart in the delivery room. He almost passed out. He's a physician. He didn't know how extensive the birth defect was. And, I stayed strong. And then when he was done with his emotional, whatever he needed to do, I started to break down, and I was not allowed to do that. He told me, everything's going to be fine. Stop it. So I was never allowed to have my feelings around it, which is something that I think was very unfair. He owns it. To this day, he wishes he could take it back, but you can't take back what you do sometimes. And there was a lot of processing I had to do. However, once I went through the process of grieving and then feeling victimized by, oh my God, why me? Why me? Why me? Why me? And then the anger, how dare this be me? I did everything right. And then I came to a point where I said, well, how can I take this pain and this sadness and make something beautiful out of it in the world? And here I am.
I love it. I love it. So power somehow grew out of that, like your own empowerment, I'm sure. So I'd like to switch gears, talk about feminine power. What exactly is that? And where does it come from?
Feminine power. That's that's a great question. I wish I would have thought on that. Feminine power. What do you think about that? I didn't think about that, although I talk about it all the time. To me, feminine power is a woman that is always looking to be on the green grass edges of growing into who she's meant to be. Mm-hmm. All right. We don't have it all figured out. As far as I'm concerned, I'm a spiritual being having a human experience. I'm going to have human emotions. I'm going to trip over rocks. I'm going to trip over shit I've been working on for years. However, it's the awareness of it, and also the desire to transcend it, and then if possible, turn it into something useful for the world. I have a big thing, and that I guess I'm noticing more and more of a trend with me. First of all, I feel like whatever pain or sorrow I go through, if I can possibly turn it into a program, or I can use that as a teaching moment, I feel like my pain was not in vain. And somehow that brings me comfort. And I don't know why, or why that's the way I feel, but for me, it's like my pain, if I can somehow alchemize it into being something of use for the world, for the women in my community, I feel like, okay, I was meant to have this pain because now I can talk about it. I can teach about it, and I can help somebody else. It somehow makes it, not that I'm skipping down the turnpike thrilled I'm going through something, but it makes it somehow feel better to me.
Yeah. Yeah. And kind of helps with the connection. I know that connection,
Yeah.
connection is huge in the human experience. And so being able to experience these sometimes tragic times, it's like, this is part of life. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And just the being able to, that my story helps somebody else gives me comfort.
Mm-hmm.
That there was a reason for that. Whether, and here's the thing, I know that the reason is for my learning anyways, but if I can use that learning to help another person, then I feel like I've done, I don't know, my soul's work.
Yeah.
Maybe is the answer to that. This is my soul's work in the world.
There you go. Purpose. Ah, that's awesome. I think that's so cool. I can get on this stuff. So, so
I do too.
I know. I'm like, oh. So what is it that keeps women from stepping into their power?
A million different things, Toni. I mean, we could go all night on that. What keeps women from stepping into their power? A million things, but ultimately, at the end of the day, it's fear.
Mm-hmm.
Fear in all of its different, insidious, horrible, black hole, negative energy forms.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's just ugly.
The whole parade that comes along with it, the parade of emotions.
Yeah. It's fear. At the end of the day, it's all fear.
Yeah. And all of the negative self-talk and
fear shows up in so many different ways. I mean, triggers and shutting down and defensiveness and not showing up and screwing things up, not on purpose, but on purpose. You know what I mean? It's so many, you won't love me if I actually speak my truth. I've been taught that I can't speak my truth. Yeah, there's so many reasons, but fear is the insidious monster that I call it a dragon. Fear is a dragon. And what I like to say is that I tame the fear dragon. I never consider myself slaying the fear dragon, but I try to tame my fear dragon. And what I mean by that is I try to walk into the fear instead of away. And that's been probably one of the most productive and empowering practices. Somehow along the way, along my journey of this road to self-mastery, which I continue to walk on, I realized that fear is always going to be there in some way, shape, or form. It's like we like peel away at it like an onion, right? And what I discovered is that if I walk into the fear, it's scary as hell. But somehow when I'm in that place of chaos and then the other side, it feels really good, especially on the other side.
Especially on the other side. Well, yeah, and I think that one thing that's really interesting to me is when I've started to develop this practice of stepping into the fear of like examining it and really figuring out what it's about, taking a flashlight and like really looking at it and like, wow, it really isn't as freaky as I thought it was, and yeah,
we make things up we build things up in our minds much bigger usually than they need to be. And I'm just as guilty as anybody else. I mean, honestly, my work, I think I always tell the women in my community, like, I'm not the guru, I'm just holding the lantern. I might be a step or two ahead. So let me illuminate the path for you. Let me hold your hand while you walk into the fear. But walking into the fear is always the way. Now, here's the thing. I have a caveat to that, because the truth of the matter is some fear is really healthy, and like riding a really scary roller coaster, I just don't need that kind of fear in my life. It's not necessary for my empowerment.
Yeah, scary movies.
Like bungee jumping, not really necessary for my personal and spiritual growth. I just don't see that. I'm a Virgo. I can't help myself. It has to be practical. If it's going to make me a more powerful version of myself, hell yeah, I'll do it. But like, something ridiculous that's just going to scare the crap out of me, I'm like, later. I'm 50 years old. I don't need to do that anymore. I have
nothing about skiing. I'm like,
I honestly still don't ski, but I après ski like a champ, like a pro.
I know that sometimes for me, I know, like, I love rock climbing though. Rock climbing to me has been like,
I love rock climbing too. Yeah. I've never actually climbed on a rock. It's been a rock climbing wall with a harness and all the protective gear, but I've never hung from a cliff or anything in real, to be honest.
I've done that. It's so cool. I love it. And that's one of those things where it's like, And I went through this at a time in my life when I was kind of dealing with it. I was a teenager, and it was actually a practice, like we're going to come up against your fears and we're going to see what happens when you do that. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a really interesting way to examine the way that I react to things like that, to fear.
I think it's really important. Any way you slice it, and all kidding aside, I think walking into your fear is the way. I've learned that honestly, if I'm not scared, in my life about something, especially in my business, I'll be honest with you, because listen, I'm entrepreneurial. I am as if you looked up the word ambition, there'd be like Lisa's picture there. So I'm very ambitious, but I also know that if I'm not growing and stretching and stepping into, the work I need to do, and a lot of it is I come up against upper limits and blocks. I mean, we all have them, right? So I've learned that walking towards those blocks is the way for me to get to that next level of business, next level of my personal power.
Yes, that is so huge. And so the next question that I have for you is, what does abundance have to do with feminine power?
Well, here's the thing. Women, there's the masculine and the feminine, right? Because I teach about this kind of like woo-woo esoteric stuff. We could talk a little bit about masculine energy and feminine energy. Well, masculine energy is very aligned and very goal-oriented, very linear in its path. Very linear. I want that.
Like girls versus boys. This is energy.
Girls versus boys. It's as basic as it gets. And masculine is that energy is like, I want that. I go towards that, and I'm beelining straight towards that. Feminine energy could be like, ooh, this feels, I don't know how this feels. And, oh, well, maybe I should back off because I'm not sure. And, and so feminine energy is more receptive.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you want to think about it, God created it that way. Women have vaginas and men have penises. We are the receptor and they are the one giving the penis, right? It's just, they give and we receive. It's the way we were created by the divine. So most of the time, abundance, because women are emotional creatures, we can allow more easily than men usually allow something being out of alignment in our life to affect all areas of our life. Mm-hmm. Men can compartmentalize much more efficiently than a woman can. However, we can, train ourselves to look at what's abundant and try to compartmentalize. It's not our natural knee-jerk thought process, but it is something we can learn. And abundance is about receiving, mm-hmm. because abundance, I'm writing a course. I've completed a course right now on it, and the point is that abundance to most people means money. It means money, mm-hmm. and that is a part of what is abundance. But to me, money is more prosperity and wealth. Abundance, if you look in the dictionary, says it's many of one thing. Mm-hmm. So it's an abundance of health. It's an abundance of joy. It's an abundance of fun. It's an abundance of love. It's an abundance of apples sitting in a bin. That's really what abundance means, much of one thing. And it's all about the receiving. Women have a hard time receiving, even though it is our core energy.
Is that interesting? That's so interesting to me.
Yeah, it is interesting because I believe, and this is again the world according to Lisa. This is my expert interview. I'll just give you my thought on it. I really think that a lot of beautiful things have come out of women going back to the workforce, but I think it kind of forced women into a masculine model. Mm. Be one of the guys, competing for guys' jobs. If I act like a guy, I'll get the job like the guy. Work, burnout. We're not wired for that. That's not our core energy. Our core energy is softer. And because we're playing in a man's world, we think we have to change the rules to suit the men. What I've learned is the most powerful women leaders are the ones that stay very rooted in their feminine. Open to receiving help, open to receiving input and guidance, open to receiving love and adoration, open to receiving even wealth, if that's how it wants to come in. These are the ways women like flick away abundance.
Mm-hmm. I'm writing that down.
Are you?
Yes, because I'm like, that's good stuff. It's just so interesting because women are also givers. They're constantly giving.
Right.
Yeah.
So think about that. Give, but don't receive in. What happens?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like the giving tree.
Yeah. And you drop dead.
Mm-hmm.
On the inside, mostly, symbolically, you shrivel up, you get pinched up, you get cynical, because you're giving, and not allowing those pathways to receiving. We block them. It's uncomfortable to receive. So much for me, so much love. I tell you what, I'm going to tell you something really private and personal, but I get really beautiful emails from women in my community. And emails, messages that I've changed their life, that they would not know what they would do without me in their inbox. That one of them wrote me once that she was ready to commit suicide, and my email came in and she decided not to. It is so overwhelming to receive that. It's so beautiful. However, I still work on opening my arms and say, yeah, I did matter that much. I'll take that in. I receive it. I hear it. I read it. But letting it in feels so overwhelming. Like, who am I to be that profound to anybody? Yeah.
I have chills. Getting a little verklempt.
No, yeah. I mean, I tear up. I cry. I do. Yeah. It's too much. It's too much. I just don't see myself that way. But to be able to receive it is a practice for me, to say, I'll take that. Thank you. Thank you for that.
And I think that that's one thing that is really difficult for I don't know if it's just people or women or just people in general. Like, there's a cap. Like, okay, I can receive, done.
Yeah.
I can't do it anymore. I can't receive it. I can't. Yeah, I cannot let that really get deeper.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm kind of upset. Yeah. Yeah. So I would like to talk. Oh, go ahead. What?
Oh, no. I was just commenting that it is an interesting thing, you know, the way that we kind of shut down, that it's so much like that is abundant. To receive such beautiful feedback for your work is abundant. And it's still a practice for me to allow it in. I read it. I know it. I hear it. Letting it in here, a whole nother story. I let it in, but like in drips and drabs. It's like, oh.
Yeah. And I think that also contributes to a lot of people feeling alone, lonely, not allowing yourself to be penetrated by love from other people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
I'd like to talk a little bit about the abundance alchemy. I know you've got it. Is it abundance alchemy? Yeah. Let's talk about that.
Well, I really love this course for 1,000,001 reasons. And just to name a few, it is abundance. Most people want to know, how can I make more money right now? And that's fantastic. However, an abundance mindset is foundational work. That must come in first. You can never make more money if you do not get in alignment or congruent around abundance. It is a retraining of the brain. And abundance alchemy is it's 30 days to your more bountiful life. And what that means is that it is the foundational work that needs to be done before you can start calling in more money. Now, there's all of these things out there, how to make more money, how to make more money, how to make more money. Listen, I can send everybody who's watching this interview right now a book on business or a book on how to make more money for $15. Fine, wonderful. I can promise you it will be shelf help. It'll go and go right there, and it'll be nothing but self-help, because there's inner blocks, there's mindsets, there's limiting beliefs, there's all this stuff we have to undo, and then retrain our mind to look at life abundantly. Mm-hmm. When you have this foundation of abundance, you vibrate and you see life through a different lens. And that's really what it's all about. It's about shifting the way you look at things. And it's not like, oh, I'll read this article and I've got this. It's a practice. It's a daily practice. I slip up today and I put myself, once I catch myself, I put myself back into alignment. Or I'm lucky enough to have a partner who says, hey, you just kind of wrote this, so what are you doing? And I'll be like, you're right. Be quiet, but you're right. But you need sometimes these reminders, So learning the foundational principles to feeling abundant is the foundation work for making more money. Then you can start calling in more prosperity and wealth, which is different than abundance. And like I said, I teach different than most mainstream, teachers out there. People think abundance, oh, money, money, money. Yes, wonderful. That's an aspect of it, which I kind of describe more as prosperity and wealth. Abundance is how you look. It's the lens you look at life through. Mm. Is the glass half empty or half full? You tell me. Are you noticing what is going right instead of what's lacking? Because we are honestly a society of people who are taught since we're in diapers to look at what's not there, what's lacking. So there's a lot of foundational work, and no matter who you ask on this earth who is a master at anything, they will tell you foundational work is key. If you do not build a practice or a career on a very strong, very, solid foundation, you will never master anything. And that, in my opinion, is why most people bought The Secret and made vision boards all over the place and didn't manifest a damn thing they put on them.
Mm-hmm. That's so true. Exactly. Yeah. Thank you so much for talking more about that. I know we've got kind of a special offer for that.
Yes.
That's below. And also you have another gift that you would like to give us as well, right? It's
I do. Remind me what it is. I have so many gifts.
You're like a tree, like a Christmas tree.
Which one did I offer to your community? I have so many gifts.
The space.
How to create sacred space and activate life magic. That's my newest.
You're just full of gifts.
Yeah, it's so good. Oh my gosh! Everybody, go download that book.
Look under your chair too.
Yeah, totally. So you need to download it, because creating sacred space, I believe, is a foundational practice for you finding peace, finding calm, finding strength in your day, cultivating faith. For me, sacred practice is, you could see it behind me. I mean, if I was brave enough to actually move this computer a little bit that way, I don't want to unplug you, but I'll come back. You'll see. Oh, you can't see. She's behind here. Do you see her? There she is, the Virgin Mary. Every morning, this is my office. I'm so glad. One time I unplugged myself from an interview. I was like, trying to show her. But every morning, and I just take a moment to speak to the divine, how I experience the divine. For you need to speak to your higher power. It's not about who it is, because that's not for me to say, but every day to have time to commune with Source. And it has been a turning point in my life, because I worry about everything. That is my wiring. I'm a worry wart, and I can't explain why, because I've had a pretty good life, but I will worry over I could say it's my Virgo-ness. I could say lots of things, but I really don't know why. But I will tell you that since I started cultivating my sacred practice, I worry a lot less, because I've cultivated something called faith. Sometimes I just leave it at the altar, and I leave it in the hands of God.
Yeah.
So creating these sacred spaces is so important for women. We are wired to need that community, need that commune with the divine more than men, I believe. Men are more wired to hunt and gather and go take care of. Women stayed behind, and we communed, and we took care of the children, and we passed knowledge down from mother to daughter or woman to woman. We are different creatures. And because of that, and because we tend to worry more about the whole, right? Men can say, this is my problem. How do I fix that problem? Women go, oh my God, but what about if we fix that? And then all these other things happen. That's how we're wired. So if we can just talk to our Creator and leave it at the altar, it is really, really very beneficial, not only to peace of mind, but also to allowing the universe, the divine, to co-create your life.
Yes, I love that. Thank you so, so much, Lisa. Lisa Marie. I never know. Is it Lisa Marie?
I answer to everything, honestly.
Okay.
So I answer also to everything too. We'll leave those words out of this interview. I've been not a potty mouth, so we'll leave that. I answer to all sorts of things. Hey, you. Goddess. I answer to goddess. I turn my head. Lisa's fine. Lisa's fine. Lisa Marie is fine. It's all
perfect. That sounds so good. Thank you so, so much, Lisa Marie. Lisa.
Yeah, I've been called that too.
Thank you so much. This has been so much fun. I love connecting with you. The last one was so much fun. This one was so much fun. I can't wait to do it again. So,
thank you for having me. And thanks to everyone for joining and watching, taking this time to watch this interview. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Pop over into the Facebook group to let us know what some of your most profound takeaways were about abundance and all of this amazing stuff that we talked about. And don't forget to watch the rest of the videos in the Living Out Loud series. And until we see you again, keep living out loud.